everybody. My name is Aaron Locks, and this is the Talk, Teach, Play channel. I'm so excited you're here today, and I'm really excited about today's topic, which is creating more inclusive communities for special needs families, or maybe someone who's just not the same as you. And we'll dig into a little bit. I'm excited to have Larkin with me today. I'm going to introduce her in just a second, but I want you to think about when you're out there and you're dealing with kids in any way, whether you're a coach, a teacher, or a parent, and you come across someone that's not necessarily the same, for whatever that is. Today, we're going to dig in a little bit more and see what we can do to make it more inclusive. And I'm really excited, very grateful to have Larkin Oleary with us from Common Ground Society. Larkin, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I would love to just kind of start out like with everybody. How the heck, like, how did you get involved in this, and what's your background in this, and kind of maybe you and your family give us a little background on this.
Yeah, so I am a Sonoma County native, and I have been a teacher for 15 years, credentialed teacher for 15 years. But it started much earlier in my life when I had a great teacher who cared about me and got to know the real me, despite the fact that I may have had, notes home from school and whatnot. And I had a son, almost 7 years ago now, James, who was born with Down syndrome. And he has sort of changed my perspective on just about everything in life. And one of the main things is education and inclusion. And so after really clawing at my job and trying to hold on to my teaching career, it was just really hard writing subplans in the PICU and trying to keep up with it. So I ended up having to resign. But in the midst of all of that, this Common Ground Society was sort of born. And it started as a simple presentation to my son's preschool with another mom, the co-founder with me. And we talked about Down syndrome on World Down Syndrome Day. And we discussed that with the preschoolers and talked about inclusion and acceptance and how we're all really more alike than we are different. And it sort of took off. My teacher friends heard about it. And so far we've been to 40 schools from Healdsburg to Santa Rosa, almost 16,000 students, which is incredible. We've done 30 other, like 20 college at SSU classes, and then like 15 to 20 other like college community events, which has been incredible. So we share the stories of our lives in hopes of educating our community on what life is like having a child with a disability.
So let me ask this. So just so I'm kind of gathering this. So basically, what you're doing is you're really trying to create inclusiveness through education, right? Because basically, it seems, one of the things I love about sports. And by the way, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, probably a good time to do so. Obviously, not just for this conversation, but the many others as we talk about, right? But the inclusiveness of and again, my world is sports, so here it is in athletics. But I also want to talk a little more how they connect with what we're talking about. But just the fact of when you play sports with someone from a different community, someone that's different, right? And how that connects. And you're not necessarily talking about sports, but just in general about like how do you go about connecting with someone. I see it sometimes. I see it when you walk down and someone's different than you. People don't even look at them. They just don't. I remember, and not to pat myself on the back, but I remember I was visiting a friend up in Folsom, California, and there was a gal there, and with her face, she had some marks and whatnot. And as I walked by, and I could tell she was really closed in. But I looked at her, I said, "Hey, how are you doing today?" Just because that's who I am, right? And it was kind of a weird, awkward thing. She didn't say anything except she smiled. And then as I was going to check out, she came up to me and said, "Just thank you for talking to me." And I was just, literally, I got in the car and I kind of went, whoa, So I remember the feeling on that side for me, right? And that's just kind of who I am. But I got to imagine that some of what you're going to talk about today is really how do we, particularly with kids, for God's sake, how do we connect the dots? So how did you get involved? Like Common Ground Society, it sounds like you guys just said, it wasn't just one day you said, "Hey, let's just do this magically," right? There's a method to it. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so when we did that preschool presentation, it just sort of clicked. And we had teachers from all over asking us to come into their classrooms and talk about acceptance and inclusion, because the way that we've done it in the past just really hasn't been something meaningful. And the way that we do it, we're very sincere. We open ourselves up and we're vulnerable. And we answer those hard questions that kids have, because that's really what it is, right? Is
Yeah.
like you were saying, that feeling of fear that we all fear, and it's feel when we see someone who's different or we perceive as different or someone is acting different, we're not quite sure what to do. So either we avoid them completely or we bully, right? Or we have some sort of other like strange response, like laughing, right? Because we don't know how to deal with that feeling of fear. And being a teacher, I have that loud teacher voice. So I wanted to put it out there, like you did, just say hi. I know it's scary, but you got to sit there in that uncomfortable sometimes in order for change to happen, right? And in order for things to get better, um, sometimes we simply just have to say hi. And if the person can't say hi back, our responses just follow their lead, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And
So when you're talking about special needs, so I just want to kind of define it. We at the National Academy of Athletics, we have kids with autism at times, depending on the spectrum, right? Which reminds me, not to go off topic, but the show Atypical was pretty eye opening for me. That's a Netflix show in terms of kind of checking it out and seeing what's going on. But there are other resources out there as well for people, right? Are there some resources that you'd recommend? Because if I'm interested, whether it's special needs, whether it's someone in a wheelchair, right, that's special needs. Like, how do you define that, and what kind of resource? How do we find out about it?
so the term special needs is actually something that's more used by the parent population because it feels softer or something than the word disabilities. When you go on like any sort of social media, learning from adults with disabilities is really like the best place to get your information because they've lived the life, right? And disabled adults want to be called disabled adults. They don't want to be called, they don't like the term special needs because they're not special needs, they're human needs.
Mm.
They're needs that people need in order to be
Wait, say that again. That's a big one right there. Because
yeah,
go through that. That's really big. Say that again.
yeah, they are not special needs, they're human needs. They're
Mhm.
ways that we all come together to make each other feel included and accepted for who we are. And the biggest part about it, I think about the fact that like because somebody's in a wheelchair, because someone like my son has a visible disability, he wears his label right here, right? Down syndrome, right? And we all look at him and go, "Oh, I know you because you have Down syndrome," or "I know you because you're in a wheelchair." But you don't see my label up here that says like, "I hate vegetables." Don't tell my kids that. But right, like you don't see my labels of things that are hard or that I don't like, or you don't see those things just blatantly out there, and so you don't judge me right away. And that's something we need to change because we all have things we're good at. We all have things we struggle with, every last one of us. And
Right.
it's something we need to start the conversation about.
Especially now, I mean, let's be honest with what's going on in the world, in our community and everything, the social and emotional disconnect that we're seeing. In a weird way, I've seen in some communities, again, we work in lots of different counties and communities. So I've seen some with huge disconnect, but I've also seen some where it's really come together. I've really seen through the athletic side, I've seen a lot of coming together because you kind of have no choice, right? That's what we do. So I've kind of seen that, which has been really cool. I'm a big fan of that sports can develop and deal with the character side. And this is a piece of character because you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable enough to
Yeah,
say hi to somebody different. And why not make them feel just a little more comfortable, right? And you're not doing them a favor. Let's not go there. But believe it or not, the feeling that I get, I'm getting chills thinking about it, the feeling that I get when I do something kind for somebody else. I worked for a basketball coach named John Wooden. You probably won't know the name, but he coached UCLA to 10 national championships. And he's famous for a lot of things. But one thing he said is that you can never live a perfect day without doing something for somebody else with no expectation of anything in return. And so
absolutely.
I tend to be the guy that goes out there with the buy the drink for the guy behind me or let someone cut in just because it's selfish. It makes me feel good, right? But
I feel.
exactly, there you go. So with the Common Ground Society, you have a really clear mission and vision, right? Can you share that with everybody?
Yeah. Our mission is simply to educate society on how to be more inclusive. We use the stories of our lives to make people understand. You know, my tagline is, "You don't know what you don't know until you know," and so let's learn. And we also support families and who have kids with disabilities or just a different life experience, because having a kid with a disability comes with paperwork and comes with a whole list of things that people just don't even realize are out there and available. And so we want to make it easier on families.
Got it. So really, it's about educating and giving. Is it resource driven? Is that kind of like I'll give you an example. So those that don't know, we're in Northern. We happen to actually be in Northern California together. You know, obviously not in the same space, but in Northern California, in Santa Rosa, there's a Challenger Little League, right?
Yeah.
And the Challenger Little League provides. I'm reading right now. It provides adaptive, co-ed, non-competitive Little League experience for young athletes with physical or intellectual challenges. So that's a resource, right? That basically, what a great place. And I see when I go out there, sometimes we find ways to support them however we can, right? And you see things from a kid in a wheelchair playing baseball, and you're like, how does that happen? They make it happen
Yeah.
through autism and Down syndrome and all the other factors that are going through, right?
Yeah, my son actually plays on the Challenger team. He had his first year the year before, and then he had one practice this year, and poof, the world ended.
Right.
But but that's just it. It's partnering with families to learn how to include, because not every you can't say, okay, people with autism are allowed to do this with us. Well, there's someone with autism. It's not like a spectrum like this. It's more of a spectrum like this, right? Where each person with autism has their own, unique set of skills and unique set of challenges,
Right.
just like all of us, right? And so as
Yeah.
people are able to learn, like, and partner with parents, how can I support you? How can I support your son? If your son's going to melt down with this, what is it that we can do as a community together to make him feel included and make him feel okay, right? And in sports, it's definitely something that can be all inclusive if people are willing to put in the time and some effort with it.
I feel like what I'm reading, another one here that I found, but studies show that vigorous activities for 20 minutes or more, for particularly kids with any kind of challenge, special needs, whatever we want to call it, it
Yeah.
invigorates a lot of different, for lack of a better word, particles, endorphins, and things in their body that
Yeah.
can help them to release. I mean, I'm self-diagnosed ADHD, right? So I know that I've got to have a lot of different things to stimulate. But I also know that if I take my 3 mile walk each day, or I do certain things, that it keeps me, for lack of better words, on balance, right? Um,
Yeah.
so let me ask you this: what are some of the challenges that you would see that are, no matter what, again, you're not going to be able to tell me the difference between someone in a wheelchair and someone with autism or Down syndrome, but what are some of the challenges that you see as a parent that you've had a child that maybe the rest of us don't know, or what, how we even deal with that? Can you give us a couple challenges that maybe you've experienced?
Yeah, so my son is almost 7 and he is nonverbal, so to speak. I mean, he's very, very verbal, but he's hard to understand sometimes. So he knows sign language. He knows over like 500 signs.
Oh,
And he's very smart, and he's very stubborn, takes after his dad. And he will do things when he wants to, right? And when he doesn't do them, it's not because he can't do them, it's because he doesn't want to do them. And so I oftentimes find people who don't realize how smart he is, or his capabilities, because he chooses not to do it, so they play into that, right? He's very good, he's very cute, he's very good at getting people to acquiesce to his needs and wants, and I would call them wants more than needs, because
right.
more often than not he's just, you know being a sassy little thing.
Yeah.
And
So
people are scared of doing that with people with disabilities. They don't want to, like,
Right. Hold them accountable or like we would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I know with my own kids that there's different challenges that have come up, but again, they're uniquely different. So if someone wanted to find out more or get connected, or I guess what I'm looking for would be like, if I had a challenge with something, what would be the best way? What resources are out there? Because I mean, I'll be honest, it's so foreign to me. I don't even know where I'd go. What I mean, I got to imagine, like anything else, you go to YouTube and you find out or whatever. But is there some areas that you found success with that you can guide people that would? I mean, of course, going to your website would probably be a good start too, right? But
Yeah.
but what resources? I would imagine they're much better now than they were 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago, right?
Right. So, if you're the first thing I would say is talk to the parent and let them know, what's going on and what the struggles are, and that you want to work together to make it better, because the parent is the number one person who can help you through any sort of situation.
Okay.
But depending on diagnosis, there are a lot of options out there. There are a lot of like associations and, uh, coalitions for various. There's the National Down Syndrome Society that has a lot of great information. We have a Down Syndrome Association of the North Bay here in Santa Rosa, Sonoma County. And so there's a lot of going online and just googling what
Right.
the diagnosis is, and then finding different people who are involved in it. Our nonprofit is all encompassing. So we really wanted to focus on, there are the Down syndrome and there are the autism, but what about Fragile X syndrome? What about Cornelia de Lange syndrome and Q6X2 deletion, right? Those people who are sometimes one of a kind. There is no the local like people, right? They're all by themselves. And that was the part for me that was hard. Was seeing someone diagnosed with something and there was no like group to catch them,
Right.
and we wanted to be that group for them. We wanted to be there for them because although having a different diagnosis, we still travel a similar path,
Yeah. Yeah.
even within the Down
Well,
syndrome
it's
community.
like you said, we're all human, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got to go that if we find the common, right, then it's
Right.
easier. And again, again, being a sports guy, right, that's where I go to is it
Yeah.
through athletics and sports. And believe it or not, I mean, I can remember when I grew up, we used to go down the street and just play with our friends, right? And don't get me wrong, there was picking on each other, this and that, but there was a self uh, governing body within ourselves, right? 12, 15 neighborhood kids, that if someone wasn't treating others nicely, a good majority of it go, no, that's not acceptable. You know what I mean? There was this kindness component. Don't get me wrong. We get some of this every now and then or whatever,
Yeah.
or some of this, we just did it, right? We figured it out, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like that's missing. So when you
Yeah.
talk about inclusion, the other part is interesting because I remember we've had, I mean, at the National Academy of Athletics, we've had kids in wheelchair at basketball camp. We've had kids with Down syndrome. We've had kids with autism. Obviously, it's just tough for my staff because we have to figure out how to adjust our programming, right? So it does take a specialist. So, are you recommending for kids that are, I guess we call them on the spectrum, special needs, whatever level they're at? Would it be the comfort of the parent to try to figure out the more, God, I don't want to say normal, traditional experience they can get? Is that a good thing?
Word to use. We use the word typical, and because what is
Typical,
normal? Let's be honest. I know I'm
right?
not.
I
You know what
know
I
I'm
mean?
not either, right? I own that. I'm not normal for
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
So, okay, wait. So let's go back. I want to make sure, those that are listening, right? Again, I know you've already subscribed to the channel and all that, and we're doing all that, but let's be honest here. So say that again. So it's not about forget the word normal. What's the word you're saying? It's
Typical, like the typical experience.
the
Yeah.
typical experience. So how do you help someone engage in a quote unquote typical experience if they're not a typical child? So what do you recommend? How do we meld that?
Yeah, I think that that is a great question again for parents, and saying, I really want to include Bobby on the baseball team, but he's in a wheelchair. What adaptations, what modifications can we make to our typical experience to make it accessible for Bobby? And I'll tell you what, Bobby and his family will be forever grateful that people take the time, because it is extra work. I know it's hard to include my son. Believe me, I know it's hard.
Right.
But it's so meaningful when people take the time to do that and care. And it's so appropriate, and it's hopefully the direction our world is going.
Right. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I know when you go to social media and you see the photo or the video of the kid on the basketball team, and he's never played a lick, and he's been the team manager, and obviously he's not typical special needs or whatever the case may be. And all of a sudden, like, he misses the shot, and the kid on the other team gives him the ball back, and then he makes it, and the whole
Right.
place goes nuts, right? I mean,
Right.
when you think about that, what a great community feeling to have. So how do we inspire more of that, right? Isn't that kind of what
Yeah.
you're saying? Like, how do
You
we,
know,
let's bring more of
and
that up.
like it would be great to make it so it wasn't something that was so crazy that happened, right? How
Right,
incredible would that be if that's just the way it was?
right,
Oftentimes people in the disability community call things like that inspiration porn, because it's like, oh, you feel so good watching it. This person was so nice to be nice to this little disabled kid, right? But like, what if that was just how the world was, and we were conscious of the fact that we all have things that we need help with, and maybe you could just help that kid, that's
So,
the conversation.
what if we made that the new norm, right? With your organization, Common Ground Society, that we get the swell, right? And and
Right.
and then it's just common, right? It's just we're
Yeah.
looking for ways to include people.
Yeah.
And that, I know I talk a lot about kids, but that could go for adults as well, right? We
Absolutely.
mix it
Yep.
up, right? Let's mix it up and just include people that are unlike us, whether it's the color of their skin or the religion or whatever the case may be, and find a common ground. Because I think you're right. When you think about it, there's a heck of a lot more common ground than there is, you
There
know,
is.
there really is going forward. So, okay, just because I have a lot of coaches that are going to be listening
Yeah.
and watching this, if I'm a coach and you come to me, what are your expectations for me as a coach? I mean, I would say the first one would be listening, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
What's up, right? Because I got to a long time ago, I do a little study under Stephen Covey, and he says, "Seek to understand before being understood." Right. I'm gonna
Like
say that
that.
again, so you're listening. Seek to understand before being understood. And I think in this case, if I'm a coach, that's the first thing I'm going to do. You're coming to me as a parent. You want your child to play on my basketball team or my whatever it is. And I'm going to say, okay, what's it about? Right. And we can't go there with fear. We have to go there with open arms and try to understand. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be going, how the heck is this going to happen? But
Yep.
nonetheless, that's a good question. And we have to have the
Absolutely.
conversation. So,
Yep.
what do you expect from me as a coach? What am I supposed to do?
Problem solve together, to make some time to problem solve and say and be honest and be open. These are my fears, these are the things that I'm worried about happening, this is the challenges I see, how can we work together to make it happen? And that's it. I think that you can find solutions that way, but you have to be open and honest.
Right. So honesty is a big one,
Yeah.
and we don't have to be brutal about it or whatnot. But
Oh,
hey, I don't understand,
right.
and you really want your son to play on this basketball team? How's that going to happen? And then maybe we have the conversation and we figure it out together. And it's going to be different. Coaches, if you're out there, parent volunteers that are coaching kids, it's going to be different experience. But I will tell you this, again, name dropping or whatever. But when I worked with Magic Johnson, when we ran his camps back in the day, and there was 400 kids out there, and we're going to run camps, and he said to the coaches staff who were out there, he said, our number one mission is to win kids. You know what I mean? So teaching your son is going to be a different experience than teaching my son was, right?
Right. Right.
But it's amazing that we probably will learn from your son as well, right? And if
Exactly.
we're open to that, there seems to be that kind of bond, that kind of opportunity, that kind of relationship. That would be great.
For
So
everybody to grow. I mean, coaches, other kids on the team, that particular kid, and those parents. I mean, it's truly an incredible sight when people are about inclusion. It really is.
Again, one of the reasons why I love sports is that it really you can bond a community better than any.
Yeah.
And again, I've seen people that don't really like each other, but their kids are on the same baseball team, and next thing you know, they're cheering for the same thing. It's a common good. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
preaching sports, but it's more than just that, because I think I see it. So all right, so let's kind of refocus down, because I'm all over the map again. ADHD. Here we go. Right. So how would you like to see, like with your mission you're talking about, for people to get involved with your organization? If my kids are older, um, I want to get educated would be part of it, but how do I get involved with your organization? How do I support? How do I work with your organization, the Common Ground Society? What do I do?
Yeah, so our website actually just got updated. We have our presentations for elementary schools on there currently that people can sign up for. And we do presentations in the community. So you can just reach out to me at larkin@commongroundsociety.org, and we can set up a time to do a presentation for anybody, really. If your entire organization, you wanted to do a professional development, we are the people for it. And we, open ourselves up so that you can get a glimpse into our lives. I didn't choose this life. I didn't
Right,
know. I went into having a baby to have a baby. I didn't realize that this was going to be my life. So I'm just like you, right? I just went on a different path.
right,
So come with me and learn about that path, and learn how you, as my community, can support me while I support you, right?
right. Love it. So, if someone, are you guys funded? Like if someone, let's say someone here says, "Hey, I like to donate or be able to fund or help out." How do they go about doing that?
Yeah, so we are a 501(c)(3), and we do have a donate button on our website. We did incorporate in July, and so we are looking for funders and sponsors. And this program that we have is growing at exponential rates. I mean, we have gone from like 200 followers on Instagram to 8,000,
Wow.
in less than a year. And so our word is out there. We are hoping at some point to maybe be a national thing, for various cities and organizations to be able to find common ground together
Yeah.
and support one another through it. And we would absolutely love donations. We're also pushing our new Be the One challenge this year. Have you heard of this?
I have not. Tell me all about it.
Very excited about our challenge. Normally, each year when we go into the schools, we do presentations, and at the end, we challenge people to be the one. And what that means is to be the one to just say hi, be the one to be kind, be the one to be caring, be the one to stand up, even if no one else is. You can be the one. And so this year we're not able to pick ambassadors because obviously, right, we're not in
Right.
school. So we're challenging our community. So at the very bottom of our website, the front page of our website, there is a place you can go on and you can pledge to be the one. And then we're hoping that people will go on and create a video of themselves pledging
Mm,
to be the one. And we're hoping that by hearing these messages over and over again, it will create a mindset shift, right? And it will help our community to understand how easy it is to just go out there and just say hi, just be the one.
it, so it's commongroundsociety.org,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah,
Okay. So it's each one reach one, right? I mean, that's what it is, right? And those of you that are in athletics, you get it, each one reach one. If we all do that, look, I'm curious, because I would love. I mean, you got to have a T-shirt or a sweatshirt or something. Can I go to your site to buy those? Because man, that what Common Ground Society, like, sign me up. I want to be a part of that society, right? Do you have that option as well, or is that in
yeah.
the mix?
We have our Common Ground Society like logo stuff from, and the website is on our website to purchase. We're still working on it's going to be hashtag be the one 2021. And like we originally started that trying to get 1,000 acts of kindness in 2021. But like we were talking about earlier, it's hard to document all those like nice little things you do, right? So instead, if we can create this mindset shift with the hashtag. So we're working on shirts, and we do have stickers and all sorts of stuff.
Well, count me in. And with the National Academy of Athletics, I'm actually thinking with our staff, what an impact to have you come in and do a training,
Yeah,
because it really helps us. We're always talking about inclusion and what we can do, but to take, we primarily have college students that are our staff, so to educate them. But when we talk about this, and it just hits home to me because with our conversation that will get out there to the universe, little by little, we're just going to keep reaching one more and more, and kind of helping to change the mindset shift like you're talking about. So this has
yeah,
been wonderful. I really appreciate your time, jumping on and being able to do this. And what a great mission. And offline, I'll be following up with you. Absolutely. Because I really see some synergies and hopefully ways we can help you and go forward, because what a wonderful mission. So again, give them your email address again, if you would, or how you would
yeah.
like them to contact you.
So my email is larkin@commongroundsociety.org, and you can find us on Facebook. It's at Just Two Moms. That's the name of our presentations and how we started. Uh,
Okay.
so we kept the handle, and same with Instagram is Just Two Moms SR, and they're all words. And we're also on LinkedIn, and so come find us and connect. And I'm really excited to answer any questions and sort of take the elephant out of the room before it even gets in the hallway. Is
I
how
love that.
I
Yeah.
describe it.
Yeah, thanks so much, and thank you for listening and tuning into the Talk Teach Play. I personally have already picked up some ideas and thoughts. Larkin, if it's okay with you, I want to circle back and actually get you on again, because I've got some ideas, particularly if we come up with a program that we can maybe work through athletics to even be more supportive for the
Wonderful.
Common Ground Society, which would be wonderful. Make sure that you subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. As you do, of course, you can check us out at nationalacademyofathletics.com. Please keep the emails coming in. What I love is getting the connection, because that stirs on the conversation. And the more we hear from you guys and know what you're interested in, it makes it a lot better for us to be able to know, okay, this is what our audience is looking forward to and tuning in. So I appreciate that. I remind everybody, on whatever level you can, remind your kids, both on and off the court, field of competition, schools everywhere, to always play hard and have fun. Appreciate your time today. Thanks for everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.